Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Summon Greater Podcast. I'm Sam.
I'm Skyler.
And
we remembered.
We did remember. Today is not the first day, but it is the first week of the spooky month.
October.
Welcome to October. Welcome to spooky month.
Spooky times is coming.
Nothing is spookier than the sole reason for the satanic panic.
The Dungeons and Dragons.
When are evangelicals gonna catch on and realize that the sin involved with D&D isn't the satanic shit? Because that's not there. Or
no, it's been gone from Dungeons and Dragons for a very long time.
Well, it was never there.
I mean, there were some people who self-inserted it at the very beginning.
It was a made-up thing to begin with. My point is, what they should be worried about is the homosexual activity in Dungeons and Dragons, which is real.
I was going to say that.
And I do mean that as a threat.
Disrespectfully. I was going to say greed for the dice hoarding.
Oh, they're all over that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's fair.
Yeah, I could throw so many names at you right now as proof.
So last episode we were talking about love.
We sure were, man.
And weddings and all that cheesy crap. And it reminded me. I have a good segue for this episode. It reminded me of these two items in a little game you might have heard of called Baldur's Gate 3. And these two items are really, really fun items. Yeah. It's a pair of rings.
Okay.
For those of you who have played Baldur's Gate, you may already know what I'm talking about. One is called True Love's Caress, and the other, True Love's Embrace. Mm-hmm. I'm not making this up.
No, I totally believe. What did I just say about D&D on the whole?
Yeah, no, you're right.
This is a silly game.
it's a silly game. These items, I was reminded of them when we were talking about the couple-y characters and stuff like that. It's really, really fun. So it's a pair of rings. They are magically bonded to each other. The entire point of these two rings, one of them casts warding bond on the wearer of the other ring.
Yes.
And it's not interchangeable. It's one ring casts it and the other ring receives it. So it is purely my love for you kind of a thing. For those of you who don't know, warding bond, the person that you cast a warding bond on gets resistance to all damage, a +1 to their armor class and saving throws, and each time the target takes damage, the spellcaster also takes the same amount of damage. Now, that does function differently in Baldur's Gate than it does in actual Dungeons and Dragons.
Is this a Baldur's Gate original item?
Yes, this is Baldur's Gate original item.
Okay.
So the actual D&D spell warding bond, scratch that, I was wrong. It's the exact spell warding bond.
Okay.
I had it in my head for some reason that warding bond just split the damage.
Oh.
And it didn't give you all the other bonuses, but it does. But yeah, so I was reminded of those two items and I was like, wow, that's really cool. I might put those into my D&D campaign.
Yeah, dude. What's a relationship in D&D if you can't mechanically benefit from it?
Exactly. That's why the ceremony spell exists.
Yeah.
Have you read about that one?
No, but I get it.
So you get mechanical benefits from the ceremony spell. There are several different rituals that you can go through. One of them is literally called wedding. Some people get married. My favorite part about this is it doesn't specify two people.
Okay.
It says you touch adult humanoids willing to be bonded together in marriage.
Yeah.
For the next 7 days, each target gets a +2 to their armor class while they're within 30 feet of each other.
Okay. We are reinforcing stereotypes here. This is just call the spell polycule.
All right, everybody gather around. We're all going to get married for an armor class bonus.
Oh my god.
My favorite part too is at the very end. It says a creature can benefit from this right again only if they are widowed.
Oh god.
You get one wedding. One.
It is. I mean, it is till death do you part, brother.
It truly is. I mean, come on. Evangelicals should eat this shit up. It's reinforcing. There is no divorce.
The thing is, there would be many more rules involved with the spell itself.
That's very true. You'd have to go through like guidance counseling for like 4 sessions before. I remember those 2 items when we were talking about the love episode last time, and it got me thinking about the other items and the other stuff in Baldur's Gate that got me really excited and kind of like got me thinking about new ways that we can do things in Dungeons and Dragons and new ways to make magic items and new ways to use magic items. And just even beyond the magic items, like just the mechanics of Baldur's Gate are so cool, and they line up really well with D&D while also combining and kind of a little give and take with like the RPG video game systems. Yeah. So I thought it'd be really fun to kind of talk about all that. I know you haven't played a ton of Baldur's Gate.
Like none.
No. Okay.
I did a performance test of it on one of my PCs, and that was it.
Oh man. Well,
I want someone to play it with.
I know, and we'll get there. Once my wife and I can stop making new characters and like calm down a little bit and finish one of our playthroughs. Yeah. We'll do one together. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about like what I've found in Baldur's Gate and kind of how it's gotten me riled up for possibly making some homebrew changes to my D&D tables. And the first one that came to mind, and obviously it's one of the most blatantly obvious ones in the whole game, you don't have attunement slots in Baldur's Gate.
Right.
There are no attunement slots. They instead have equipment slots. You can't have more things equipped than you've got room on your body for. And they have a head slot, an arm slot, a chest slot, a leg slot, and 2 rings, a necklace. And I think that might be it for like your body. But then you get up to 2 weapons, like handheld weapons, and then or up to 2 ranged weapons. Obviously, one of the weapons, the handheld melee weapon, that's the word I was looking for. One of the melee weapon slots would be used for like a shield or something like that, or if you're dual wielding. So theoretically, if you have a magic item for every single one of those slots, you can equip all of them, which is really cool.
I think it's a better way to do it.
I do too.
I realistically don't think that a lot of people's PCs have the ability to equip as much as they often have equipped.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like attunement slots don't have much of a restriction. Like people can attune to 3 different warhammers if they want.
Right.
And that's cool. You got 3 different warhammers. Maybe they all give you passive buffs or something. Yeah. And that's awesome. But how are you carrying around 3 warhammers?
Yeah. Like, what are you? Who's the guy from One Piece?
From One Piece.
Do you know
Zoro?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Zoro.
3 swords. Gonna put one in your teeth?
Yeah. Like, is that what you're doing? Because shit, I'll allow it.
Right. Yeah, but so I don't know if that's something that like, I don't know if I want to take away attunement slots necessarily, but I think that each equipment slot should have the option to attune to a magic item for that slot. I think you should have as many attunement slots as you have equipment slots.
The current system feels like just, kind of an arbitrary number of attunement slots, like 3 is give them a few, without much of a reason for it. Because you could, I don't know. There's no reason to make it 3 when.
No, and I think that's kind of we're implementing a different system for attunement slots in my campaign that we're running.
Been implementing. Yeah.
Because it feels like 3 attunement slots is like if you're a level 20 character, how does it make sense that you can only handle the same amount of magic as a level 3 character?
What else from Baldur's Gate is something you think should be in the game?
There are so many items, man.
Yeah.
There's so many items.
I saw you put down so many, and we definitely don't have time for all of them.
No, we do not. I want to hit on, at the very least, I know there's one that I really want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because it introduced a brand new modification to the game of Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. In Baldur's Gate 3, there's an item called the Circlet of Fire. Now, it is a circlet. It's one of those little like headband thingies. Its entire effect, the wearer of this item gains the passive effect Fiery Return. When you deal fire damage specifically with a non-cantrip spell, you gain an additional bonus action.
You get an additional bonus.
That's never been done before.
That's a big deal.
We've got the whole like, extra attack per action kind of a thing. And if someone casts haste, you get an extra action. And that's cool. But I think people forget just how much you can do with a bonus action. I mean, obviously this is very, very cool for rogues. If they were to get a second bonus action, that would be amazing, because they have their bonus action sneak, bonus action disengage, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Monks also use bonus actions for a ton of stuff. But the way this circlet specifically works, it's meant for obviously spellcasters, because when you cast deal damage with a fire spell that's not a cantrip, it's for like moving a summoned concentration fire spell or something like that. Specifically in Baldur's Gate, what a lot of people did was they used the spell Heat Metal.
Yeah.
So you would cast it on something, and then as your bonus action, you could re-trigger it.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different mechanically wise in Baldur's Gate than it is in D&D. But they would use this circlet, and you cast Heat Metal, trigger it, get another bonus action, trigger it again.
God.
And then on your next turn, your action's freed up because you don't have to cast it, but you can bonus action trigger it, and then you get another bonus action, and you can just take your turn as normal.
Yeah. Wow.
So it just turns into free damage. I think it's really cool. I think a lot of the stuff on here, dungeon masters need to be less scared of their players.
Yeah.
There's so many cool things that you can do with modifying your action economy in D&D, and I feel like it gets this like taboo treatment of like, oh no, we don't mess with the game mechanics. No,
it's like, why not?
It's a game.
Take a risk.
Do something different. It's a board game.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, it's not like there's like coding that you're gonna mess up if you do something different.
No,
you can just make arbitrary decisions and say, I want to try this.
Yeah, it's the point of a TTRPG a little bit.
Exactly.
Is the DM, the person in control of the game, can adjust the rules a little bit, and if you disagree, you can go sit on the floor or something.
Exactly. Another item, not a very like super powerful item, but one that again I just haven't seen done very often. Crusher's Ring is another ring. The wearer of this item gains 10 additional feet of movement. It's just a magic item that gives you extra movement.
Good.
Great.
Yeah. A lot of times when I'm working on magic items, I find myself just wanting to make something that like does a simple enough, like a really simple but very understandable effect. And that's the kind of shit I like.
Yeah. There's so much untapped potential for what things in Dungeons and Dragons magic items can modify.
Yeah.
Because they're so often limited to damage, healing. Maybe like passive effects like protection or something like that. There's so much more.
Yeah. Just a little bit of speed, bitch.
Yeah. Two really fun items that I found. They are not by any means like super broken again. One of them is more powerful than the others. I'll start with that one. The Dark Displacement Gloves. So they're gloves. They go on the hand slot.
Okay.
And you have this passive ability called Subtle Swap. You gain a +1 bonus to attack rolls when throwing. And if you throw something at an enemy and they fail their dexterity save to avoid it, you can swap places with them.
Oh, okay. That's so goofy. Oh, shit.
Yeah, and then they have a passive effect of just giving you a +1 to your sleight of hand.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That reminds me, someone commented on one of our shorts. You guys should make this guy Toto from Jujutsu Kaisen. And his like special cursed ability is he claps his hands and swaps places with anybody he can see.
That's so cool.
That is a busted ability.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do you make a D&D character out of that? But something like that is getting there.
Yeah, it's close.
And
it's really close.
I think if you made that like one of the central functions of your character in a campaign, you could get close.
Well, and even especially now with some of the more recent source books that have come out, we now have support for throwing weapons and for throwing people. Like,
on a technicality, but yeah.
Yeah, well, the biggies,
giant thing, yeah.
It's so freaking sick. Also, another thing about the Dark Displacement Gloves, passive effect, +1 to your sleight of hand. Why can we not do this with more magic items?
Yeah.
We need more ways to get skills.
Then that's something I think you should like give your players kind of early in a campaign, you know?
Yeah, skills should be readily available for you to like.
Well, and even just like items that do like something small but very helpful, just to fill out equipment slots with cool shit. And get your players accustomed to having to remember what they have early on.
Yeah, for sure. You want to hear probably the funniest magic item on this list? The Clown Hammer.
The Clown Hammer?
Clown Hammer.
The squeaky hammer?
Kinda.
Yeah.
It's a war hammer.
Oh.
I mean, you could skin this as a squeaky hammer very easily.
Right.
It has it has the ability Grim Irony. Whenever this weapon lands a critical hit, both the target and the attacker have to succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be subjected to the spell Tasha's hideous laughter.
Oh my gosh. That's ridiculous.
Isn't that amazing?
That's really funny.
It's so absurd that it is amazing. It made me so happy.
That's a Joker item.
Yeah, exactly. It's like some Harley Quinn shit.
Oh, yeah, actually. Yeah.
But it's so freaking good thematically. Like, it doesn't even give you like a bonus to damage. It is literally just, if you get a crit, good luck.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
I'm into items casting spells.
Super fun. Speaking of casting spells, I'm just kind of getting through as many of these as I can very quickly. Another item, the Spell Might Gloves.
Spell Might Gloves?
Spell Might Gloves.
Okay.
While wearing these gloves, when you cast a spell that requires an attack roll, you may choose to take a -5 penalty to the attack roll to deal an additional 1d8 damage. It's a great weapon master for spell casting.
I want to throw a spiritual weapon off of that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That one we'd have to figure out exactly the logistics of it. Would
you? I mean, like, You would have to think about how you flavor it, but it is just an attack roll.
You're right. It is. Oh God, that's insane.
Isn't it?
That's insane. My first reaction was like, no, that's not how it works, but it is.
The more I think of that spell, the more insane it is to me. Because like
Spiritual Weapon and Spirit Guardians, it took me until playing Baldur's Gate to realize these two spells are fucking insane.
Why is it a bonus action? Like, not just the trigger for when it's out, the summoning of it is a bonus action.
And also, the turn you cast it as a bonus action, it gets to attack.
Immediately.
So nuts, dude. Yeah. It's so nuts.
It's very, very good.
Also, Guiding Bolt. There is no reason for it to be a freaking 5d6 like first level spell.
No, that's an ungodly amount of damage.
That is some insane shit. Guiding Bolt is stronger than Fireball.
I mean, it's like one of your classic make or break early game spells.
Yeah.
Like that's its role is to have the spellcaster get your party out of an awful situation.
I am absolutely going to take flack from the internet, and there are going to be so many people who disagree with me on this. I genuinely believe that Guiding Bolt is a better spell than Fireball.
That is a bold claim. It's a straight line, right? Like it pierces. Is that true? No. Okay.
It is single target, which is why a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this. But Fireball, here's the thing. Fireball ignites everything in its radius.
Yes.
So if you are somewhere where anything is flammable in the area and you cast Fireball, you're going to burn shit to the ground.
It is less of a liability. You're right. Yeah, just higher. It's higher risk reward, I guess.
It is higher risk reward.
But and it does make sense to call a safer, more focused spell better for the early game.
I also think that it is better for the fact that Guiding Bolt assists the party. Fireball deters the party.
You are right. You are so right about that. Yeah, you gotta make way for Fireball. Or be your character in Sophia's campaign. and shrug it off just because you're able.
Stand through it. Yeah. But yeah, because I think Guiding Bolt opens up so many other opportunities. Specifically, if you have a rogue in the party who's just trying desperately to get that sneak attack damage in there, use Guiding Bolt. If you hit, obviously it's if you hit, and you deal crazy amounts of damage, and then also the next attack gets advantage.
Yeah.
It is more useful than Fireball.
Yeah. It's a big claim, but it's one that I buy and I like. I'm into that.
Also, I just want to see people turn on each other in the comments.
It'll happen. I hope it happens.
Oh man. Yeah. Let's see what else. Oh. This one's really fun for our bards and other charisma casters. The Potent Robe.
The Potent Robe.
Potent Robe.
Yeah.
I don't know why they called it this. It could have any other name and be so much better. It has a couple different abilities. One of them is Gregarious Caster.
Okay.
Your cantrips deal additional damage equal to your charisma modifier.
Oh.
Straightforward.
Okay.
Really cool.
No, that's good.
The second ability, Well Liked and Well Fortified.
Okay.
At the beginning of the wearer's turn, the robe activates, granting them temporary hit points equal to their charisma modifier.
Is there an amount of charges on that?
No. Beginning of every turn.
Really?
Granted, this is Baldur's Gate. So D&D mechanics might need to be tweaked a little bit.
Yeah. Here's
the thing. temporary hit points do not stack.
They don't stack. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
So even if your charisma modifier is +5, the beginning of each of your turns in combat, you gain 5 temporary hit points.
I mean, that's still so good. Like that, it's effectively like a really nice flat damage reduction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
From everything.
At low levels, this is broken. At high levels, this is mildly helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also gives you, because it is just a robe, it would take up your armor slot in Baldur's Gate. This also gives you a +1 to your armor class.
Wow, good.
So it would basically make your armor class 11 plus your dexterity.
Mm-hmm. That's really nice.
Yeah. So it just, you're not going to get crazy high armor class with this. You're not going to be like a tank. But for those charisma casters, specifically like a bard or something like that, it's just really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a fun one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there are so many other magic items in Baldur's Gate that just have really unique, really fun effects. There are a lot of them that have class-specific effects.
Okay.
Last one I'll talk about here, and then we can move on to some of the other stuff. Is an armor called Bone Spike Garb.
Bone Spike Garb.
Yeah. It is technically, it takes up the armor slot again, but it does not grant you an armor class bonus at all. It's just clothes. Because it's for barbarians.
Okay. Oh.
So it's got a couple abilities.
Uh-huh.
The first one is called Slab Jaw Determination. I don't know where they get these names from.
Slab Jaw. Okay.
Slab Jaw. You gain 15 temporary hit points whenever you rage.
Oh, that's really cool.
Right?
Shit, yeah.
Because it's not like it activates every turn while you're raged. It's at the beginning of your rage. Every time you rage, you gain 15 temporary hit points.
Yeah. Damn.
Super cool.
Good.
Second ability. Exoskeletal Endurance. Reduce all incoming damage by 2.
Jesus.
And when the wearer is struck by a melee attack, the attacker takes 3 piercing damage.
That's ridiculous, man.
It's literally just like you put freaking spikes on yourself.
Yeah. Wow. That's super good.
Yeah. It's so cool. And it's very specific to barbarians, obviously, because it has the rage effects.
Yeah. Oh, gee, dude. The AC buff plus the temp hit points plus the damage reduction is that's so much that it's doing.
Well, this one doesn't give an armor class bonus.
Oh, it doesn't?
It's just the temporary hit points and but that's better for barbarians because then they can use their unarmored defense.
Yeah.
Because this is literally just clothes.
Yeah. Wow. So fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll stop there for the items because there are so many and I could talk about hundreds more.
Yeah.
But I want you guys to be able to play the game and discover more of this stuff for yourselves. Please, in the comments, tell us what some of your favorite Baldur's Gate items are or your favorite D&D items. Something that you've had a ton of fun with, something that you look for every time you play because you want it on all of your characters. Go crazy, go stupid. Tell us all your favorites.
A lot of I've seen a lot of Baldur's Gate items, or you've brought a few up that I think would be really good fits, and I think most of them probably would be. But I do think I've seen, I can't give any specific examples, unfortunately, but I think I've seen a few cases of items that, you know, technically would work in D&D, but would be a handful and a half to keep track of.
Yeah.
Because some of them just do so many things at once. Yeah. It's kind of unreal. Which, like, I don't know. Maybe that is for some people.
I think the way that they can get away with so many of those items having so much going on is that Baldur's Gate tracks all of it for you.
Right, exactly. It's a video game.
Yeah, it's a video game. Yeah. So all of the things that trigger on your turn trigger on their own. You don't have to activate anything. You don't have to track, okay, what's happening now.
Yeah. It's like playing and resolving everything in an entire turn of magic for you every time you act a lot of times.
Exactly. I was just going to compare it to Magic the Gathering Arena, the computer game for Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, those must go way quicker. I don't play Arena, but I feel like that has to be the case.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I even have the app on my phone, and I'll pull it out and play a game of Historic Brawl is my favorite on Arena because it's most like Commander, and I'm a Commander boy. But I'll play a game of Historic Brawl, and obviously it's quicker because it's 1 versus 1, but the game will be over in like 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
So fast.
Yeah. Compared to like an actual like 4-player Commander game that can go for like 4 hours.
Yeah, we've never had a game under like an hour and 30.
Yeah.
So, damn.
Yeah. But yeah, again, video games, they track the stuff for you. It makes it easier and more convenient. But that's not to say that there's not going to be people who don't want to do that kind of stuff. I'm the kind of player, if I have 800 different triggering effects, I'm going to write myself like a guidebook on like this one first because that will affect this and then this. And I'm going to go down the list of how everything stacks together because by the end of it, I'm going to show it to my DM and go, I'm unkillable. And they're going to go, Skyler.
Yeah. And then they're going to make some really silly monsters.
Yeah. And then I have to be unkillable or my party dies.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
You're playing a tough balancing act at that point.
It really is. It really is.
It's like, if I actually kill this character, I might TPK.
Yep. But yeah, Baldur's Gate is amazing. Aside from the items, there are some really cool minor changes to how some of the subclasses work. Obviously, I'm not going to go through all of them again because there are many. The ones that I wanted to highlight really quick on here are the Thief subclass for Rogue. The Thief subclass gets, just as a subclass feature, they gain an additional bonus action.
Nice.
Yeah, because they're reinterpreting a lot of the D&D subclass features that make no sense in Baldur's Gate as a video game. So it was fast hands. The ability where in D&D you can attempt to disarm a trap or unlock something as like a bonus action while in combat.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense for Baldur's
It's
Gate.
a little... That is tough to visualize. I could see why they changed that.
Yeah, and also, I don't think anyone uses it in D&D.
You know, that's fair. Yeah, like that is pretty specified to like original modules
Yeah,
that they built, I think.
I can see a niche situation where you're like, hey, we need this one thing in this whole tower and it's locked up in that chest. We're going to go in and we're going to keep them busy while you unlock it, grab it, and then we run.
That is probably the exact situation that they thought of.
Yeah, probably.
And like that's extremely niche.
But also, I think that should just be baked into Rogue. I think that should just be a standard Rogue thing, is that they can...
Yes, or like a rogue subclass or two. Like Thief certainly fits that, you know?
Yeah, it does. And just... It's so niche that it kind of stinks that it's one of the subclass features, because it feels like we could have gotten a cooler Thief thing. But I'm also just obsessed with making things stronger than they need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one that they changed specifically for the Thief subclass, second story work.
Okay.
In D&D, second story work means that I think it's that you gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed, or that climbing doesn't cost you extra movement. One of the two. in Baldur's Gate, they changed it so that you gain resistance to falling damage, which is really cool because you don't climb anything in Baldur's Gate.
You don't do that.
No.
I have not seen anyone do that anyway.
Like, obviously, there's like vines that you can climb up, and there's like rocks you can climb up.
That's just like, it's kind of just an interactable function of maps, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't cost you movement. It doesn't do anything like that. So yeah, changing it to resistance to falling damage, super helpful. Because the one thing you do a lot of in Baldur's Gate is fall. There are many, many chasms and cliffs and abysses and things.
Yeah.
So having resistance to falling damage, pretty cool. Yeah, another one that they changed a little bit of, Circle of the Moon Druid. Yeah, I'm not missing anything. Okay. So one thing that they have for Circle of the Moon Druids in Baldur's Gate that they do not have in D&D is an ability called Lunar Mend.
Lunar Mend.
This is only available to you while you are wild shaped.
Okay.
So you expend a spell slot to heal yourself while you're in wild shape. So like if you were to, as a bonus action while you're wild shape, so you can action attack while you are an animal. And then if you're at low hit points, you can use up one of your spell slots that you have to regain like if it's a 3rd level spell, I don't know what the exact numbers were, but I think it's like 3d6 hit points that you get back.
That's really good because you have nothing that you can do with your bonus actions while wild shaped, and you can't cast spells.
Exactly.
This is good.
So Baldur's Gate just filled that hole, and I'm like, yes.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you. Another one, we've actually kind of covered this already. The Wild Heart Barbarian.
Okay.
We talked about when we did the playtest video, we talked about the new animal aspects and everything. I just wanted to reiterate, they are in Baldur's Gate, and it's awesome. I love it. Fun little tidbit about Baldur's Gate for those of you who, for whatever reason, have not figured this out yet. Some subclasses have aesthetic changes to your character.
Oh, really?
Wild Heart Barbarian is one of them.
Okay.
When you choose your animal aspects, you get different piercings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's sick.
It's so cool. And like there's a specific piercing for the bear, specific one for eagle, specific one for elk, tiger, wolf. It's just like a really cool little aesthetic change. Another one that is a very, very prominent one that gives you an aesthetic change is Draconic Soul Sorcerer. You get scales.
You get scales?
It gives you scales.
Oh,
and
gosh.
for whatever bloodline you choose, or your dragon ancestor, it changes the color.
Oh, okay. Damn. Good.
Yeah. What's really crazy? Playing a dragonborn Draconic Soul Sorcerer. Because it can't give you more scales, right? So what does it do? It gives you like these crazy tribal tattoos. And they're not tattoos, but like markings all over your body.
Whoa.
That are like they change color with your draconic ancestry.
That's cool.
So you can change what color dragonborn you are and then what color the ancestry is. It's so cool.
That's neat. I like that.
They did so much that they did not have to do for us to love the game to make us love it even more.
Good.
I'm so happy.
That rules.
Yeah, very, very fun.
Not me referencing Xenoblade in my head at every opportunity. It's like the Urians from Xenoblade 2. They look human, but they have scales in various places on their faces and shit. And on their bodies. Like it's just like a racial trait.
That's so sick.
In my mind, it looks similar to what you described.
Probably, yeah. So the Berserker Barbarian is the other one that I wanted to mention. It's a very small change, but it's really interesting because it kind of segues into the next stuff that we wanted to talk about. It is a stackable condition that you receive as a barbarian, berserker barbarian specifically. When you are raging as a berserker, it is a frenzied rage. When you use frenzied strike, which is a specific ability of the berserker barbarian in a frenzied rage, you gain a stack of frenzied strain. For every stack of frenzied strain that you have, you gain a -1 penalty to attack rolls. And then all of those stacks go away when your frenzied rage ends.
Okay.
So it's kind of Baldur's Gate's way of implementing something similar to the frenzied rage in D&D, where when it ends, you gain a level of exhaustion.
Right. Yeah. It reminds me even more actually of what is it called? Outrage and Thrash from Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's like really, really high damaging moves that go on for like longer than you have control over, and have kind of low accuracy, I think. Do they?
I don't think they have low accuracy. I think they don't. They just accuracy.
They just go on for 2 to 3 moves, 2 to 3 turns, and then confuse you.
Yep.
So that's actually more like the other way.
Yeah, kind of, where you get the level of exhaustion.
Yeah.
But it's still a really cool comparison. I hadn't thought to compare it to Pokemon. But yeah. So that kind of segues into the like status conditions in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because the status conditions in Baldur's Gate are very different from the status conditions in regular D&D.
Yeah.
Like there is a whole page with like 30, 40 different status conditions
It's
in that
a whole
game.
lot, yeah.
It's a ton.
Yeah.
Whereas in D&D we have like prone and exhausted and like
I mean, you have several, you know.
Yeah, there are more than that, obviously.
Yeah.
But
like this is a ton.
yeah, like in D&D I could count on 2 hands how many status conditions there are. In Baldur's Gate I cannot.
Yeah.
You actually did a little bit more research into these than I did.
Yeah, I wanna pull this page up here.
Yeah, for sure.
I picked a few.
Yeah, because me being a little bit of a just being a D&D player who has no other experience with Baldur's Gate, I kind of avoided a lot of the items that said you gain a stack of this or apply this condition, and I didn't know what it was. I kind of just went, okay, I'll use those on a later playthrough. I'm going to stick to what I know right now. So I haven't actually really had much experience with the new status conditions.
So some of them are like kind of in depth and interesting, but still easy enough that you could implement them in your game. Some of them are really not, and I'm not talking about those. And a couple of them are just like super simple things that you could very easily put into D&D. One of those is acid, which just reduces your armor class by 2.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
Just softens you up.
You can throw that on a lot of shit.
That's a really, really good one to put in D&D.
Yeah. Yeah. I have 7, I think, here. Chilled is one of them.
You're just chilling.
The affected entity is vulnerable to cold damage and resistant to fire damage.
Huh. That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one is, some of these are fun combo tools a little bit. Like that, you can use that to set up for like a party member that, you know, has a wild cold damage spell or whatever.
Right. Or fire damage.
Yeah.
For that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, resistant to fire damage for chilled.
You're right. Yeah. I had that mixed up.
If you are enwebbed, you cannot move. Attack rolls against you have advantage while your attack rolls have disadvantage. You also have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws.
Okay. See, I have experienced that one in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, I figure.
I didn't know exactly what it did, but that makes sense. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
If you are infested.
Oh, God.
This one's a little ugly, but I like it a lot.
Ugh.
You are crawling with tiny spiders that deal 1d4 piercing damage and 1d4 poison damage each turn.
Oh.
When you are hit with a melee attack, the infestation spreads to the attacker.
Oh.
Upon death, the infestation spreads to all nearby creatures.
Whoa.
That is one status condition.
That is such a good one for like cave stuff. Like that's such a cool encounter. Oh my gosh.
That's a boss encounter right there. The whole thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gross. Don't get me wrong. That's
it's nasty, and you know, I know some players that I could never use that with, but like
my wife. I think you should get up and leave the table.
Maybe, I don't know. If you are reeling, you are recovering from receiving a terrible blow or hitting a strong metal, as a -1 penalty to attack rolls for every turn remaining.
Ooh.
What do you think of that? This is the one that I was like, maybe?
I think that's really cool. I like this in tandem with something else that I heard recently.
Okay.
I heard someone mention a really, really fun mechanic for boss fights is to have, this is speaking to dungeon masters, have your boss telegraph their attacks. So if they are going to go for something really strong, have them do like a big wind up and like narratively explain, like describe that to your players.
Yeah.
Like they like pull their great warhammer above their heads and they take like an offensive stance. Okay, now it's your turn. What do you do? Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Because it gives them a really cool opportunity to be like, ooh, I need to figure out a way to get away from him. Or like, ooh, maybe I can interrupt his strike. Like it's just narratively, it's really cool, and it gives your players a chance to have a little more fun and be a little more creative.
Yeah, you can strategize a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I think reeling is the perfect secondary effect for one of those telegraphed really powerful attacks.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like if a boss hits you with something, maybe you need to make like a constitution saving throw or a strength saving throw or something. And if you fail, you gain like reeling 2.
Reeling 2.
2 stacks.
Oh, 2 stacks.
So for like 2 turns.
I don't know if I would. Just for 2 turns. I get you. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense to me. I like that. I like that. We can make something out of that.
Oh, yeah.
The last one I have here is wet.
I'm sorry, I'm such
Tim,
a child.
give me your full thoughts on
I'm
wet,
such
Skyler.
a child. I'm not going to. I'm not
Why
going
not?
to. Yeah, that's a status condition.
If you are a wet, I'm gonna retake that. I don't like the way I said it. If you're wet, you're shut up. God.
This is the best status condition ever. I am center.
Can we do it?
I think we can.
If you are wet, you are prevented from burning, resistant to fire damage, but vulnerable, double damage, to lightning and cold damage.
Okay, this makes sense.
Yeah?
I'm holding it in, man. I'm holding it in so hard.
Dude. I can't wait for the day that, like, I will use this in a campaign. So I can't wait for when I do it. I have to be like, you're wet.
Just thinking about.
You're all real sopping wet now.
That's a moist boy.
Oh my god. We got through it.
We got through it. We have lost the wet condition.
So it's the same principle as chilled from earlier.
Yeah.
And I like this kind of thing a lot. I think, I don't know which would be, well, wet would probably happen more often than chilled.
I would like to rename it damp.
Why?
Because it would be easier to say.
I have no problem saying it. In fact, I would be so ready to say that as the DM at the table.
I believe you. It's just I'm gonna lose my shit every time. Oh.
Can you imagine? Sophia hits us with the a bucket of water falls from the top of the door that you're opening as you fail your perception check, and Ito is wet.
No. And Ito, you are now wet.
Lord.
Oh, forgive me.
This is going to be a good thumbnail. It's going to be one of the few times that I pull images for thumbnails and it's like isn't clickbait.
Yeah. Brief aside, do you want to hear my absolute favorite Baldur's Gate status condition?
I do.
Chest trauma.
Chest trauma. What happens to you when you have chest trauma?
You have disadvantage on Constitution saving throws, and you have one fewer action.
Oh, God.
If you're healed at all, it goes away.
So it's like it's getting the wind knocked out of you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
It's so funny.
That's great.
I love it so much. You know my second favorite Baldur's Gate status condition? Dead.
Okay. I mean, that's just for... It's just for the sake of needing a marker above a creature's head, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It was like it's so unnecessary.
This creature is
really
dead.
Funny. There's also one called Death Wish.
Death Wish.
It means you're carrying a powder keg and you could explode at any moment.
Okay. So some of these I didn't choose to talk about just because they're like very clearly a certain situation that happens in game. Anyway, this game is cool. I haven't played it. I have hurt a lot of people's feelings by doing so. But I'll get around to it.
We're just worried about you, Sam.
Listen, I really like Xenoblade.
That is absolutely fair. You have a lot more games that you're like really invested in than I do. So when Baldur's Gate came out, I was like, I'll drop everything, nothing, and play this because I didn't have anything that I was doing.
Yeah. No, right now I'm digging back into Xenoblade X a little bit. I haven't played it in like a week or two, but I've been busy.
That's the one that people have been like raving about wanting remaster for.
Yeah, because it's not in the canon, as it were, of the main trilogy. Totally separate. I think it's totally separate. There are those who would disagree. That game has a very robust and deep combat system. And there are a lot of things. I played that game in 2011 when it came out on the Wii U, and I'm revisiting it as an adult with D&D brain. And there's just a bunch of mechanics and in battle stuff that I'm like, I could do something with that.
That's so cool. Yeah. It's always fun finding something in a game that you love and being like, D&D?
Yeah. I love doing that kind of thing. So at some point I'll cobble a few ideas together and bring them up. Well, and that is where we're going to call it today.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Summon Greater Podcast. Next week, we're going to... It's getting spooky. Oh, God.
Skelly.
And we're going to bring up a fan submission. That'll be fun. We'll see you for that. If you want to send us one of those yourself, you should. And you can at Summon Greater on Twitter and summongreaterpod@gmail.com. We will read it. We have read all of the things that we've been submitted so far and talked about them extensively on the pod. And that's what we're going to do for the foreseeable future.
As long as you keep sending us stuff, we're going to talk about it. Because that's what we do best.
Get ready to be spooky and stay wet.